Welcome back to A24 Quest.
Hey there, demons.
This is an A24 Quest.
Oh my god. I didn't even realize. I wouldn't have noticed if you'd said that. Alright.
Yep.
Welcome. It's been a while since we've recorded podcasts. Last time was the one where the South Dakota one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
And I promise we won't be playing South Dakota in this episode.
I don't know if I believe that, but you know what? I'll take it.
I even turned the TV off and everything.
As he turns the TV off. Great.
Alright, so welcome. This is episode 41.
I am still ill.
Cool.
It's not great. I'm on the mend, though. That's why I'm here today. I'm not, sick. I just, throat is still not 100%.
Did you have a cold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knocked me out for a little while, but we back, son.
But on the upside, you got a drawing tablet.
Oh my god. Listen here, okay? So let me tell you a little story about my past week, and then today. So I got horribly ill for a little while, and that was during the week that I was supposed to practice for my partner's scene that we were doing in my acting class. And so I didn't get to practice the entire week with my partner. So that was awful. Then Thanksgiving happened, so that was busy. And then my dad's birthday happened, and everyone was feeling awful, so we didn't even go out and go bowling like we were supposed to. So it didn't matter. What was the point of this story? Oh, and then Black Friday happened. No, all the way around. Black Friday happened, and then my dad's birthday happened. Right? Yeah.
Did you do anything for Black Friday?
I did. I bought too much stuff.
Cool.
So I've been looking into drawing tablets and buying another mic for a while now. And so they had a bunch of stuff on sale. So I was looking around, and I'm already way behind on buying a graphic tablet. I should have probably bought one back in late high school, early college. So I figured now's the time. So I spent a ton of money on that, ton of money on a new mic, ton of money on books, money on Christmas presents. Oh, it's been quite a week. Yeah. So I've been having a lot of buyer's remorse, at least until the products come. Hopefully that'll change immediately as soon as they arrive. And then today happened. Woke up, cat vomited everywhere. Oh, it was awful. So then I was almost late for school. Almost forgot to brush my teeth. Didn't. Got to school, literally saw my teacher walking into the classroom before I walked in. So went in, and my partner was there, and he looks at me with just this disheartened look in his face. And I'm like, what? He's like, I thought you weren't going to be here today. I'm like, wow, that's real nice. He's like, yeah, well, we're not ready to do this. And I'm like, I completely agree. So then we practiced for approximately 15 minutes. We went on stage. We did our thing. It went horribly. And then we got off stage. And then there were 4 groups there that day because everyone else didn't come because they were all too scared to do it and weren't ready either. But they were smart and they didn't show up. We did, and we did our thing first. And it was great. Not great. And then the people that went after us, they rocked the house. They were phenomenal. So I'm very upset. And then the 2 other groups that were there, because there's 2 other groups that the whole group was there, so they could have done it. Both of them said, yeah, we're not going today. I'm like, well, if that's an option, why didn't we do that? Nobody said we could do that. So I was very...
Yeah.
It's been a day, man.
Maybe you could get a redo on account of you were sick.
You know, I'm hoping he takes that into consideration, considering we had approximately an hour and 15 minutes to practice this whole thing, spread over the course of two and a half weeks.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he takes that into consideration. I mean, we did a decent job on our first half, so it was all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been my day. So I'm hoping that this ends up being a better day. I'm hoping the podcast goes better. I'm hoping that work goes better after this.
Well, I think it will. I've got an actual list of stuff to talk about for once.
Nice. Now let's go to a very somber note.
What's that?
Stan Lee died.
Oh, yeah. It's things like Stan Lee where it's not sad because he was like ancient. He was in his 90s. It's like you can't say he didn't live a full life.
No, I mean he did everything, to its maximum capacity.
Yeah.
He did it all.
So it's like it's not sad. When I heard it, it's like I'm not sad. I'm just And that I don't know a whole lot about Stan Lee, but I do know the influence he's had over pop culture is pretty immense. So, and so that's that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard. This is noon, so about an hour ago this happened. Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, died at age 57.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Why?
he has
How?
ALS. He had ALS.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I knew he had ALS. I just, I don't know. I didn't realize he was just about to die. So that sucks
too.
Insider information. I guess not really insider information. Wheels will probably be playing Battle for Bikini Bottom as his next game in his series. And I'm looking forward to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, two sad things, but,
Yeah, we'll just put that right up top.
It is what it is.
Put it on a shelf. Memory, love, hope, wishes.
Yes.
All out to the families. Sad day.
Anyway, what did Roberto send to the email?
Who says it was Roberto?
I do.
Okay.
Who was it?
Roberto said, I know I talk about him a lot, but check out The Age of Ads, the album by Sufjan Stevens.
Souffle Stevens.
It's quite experimental, and I think you might enjoy it. Bam.
Cool. I have yet to check out anything by Souffle Stevens that Roberto has recommended me.
Ouch.
I not because I don't want to, but simply because I'm just bad at checking out recommendations.
Yeah, that's fair. I will probably end up doing this while I'm at work today.
Cool.
Because I was going to initially ask for another round of music, but I figure, I got a lot of stuff I could catch up on, and that can be one of them.
Sure.
So I'll do that tonight, and then hopefully we'll record the podcast a little sooner than later, and I can get back to you that as of next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just realized Canada's not a country. No, Canada is a country.
What?
Sorry, that's completely. Earlier today, I claimed that between North and South America, the United States is the largest country, and somebody just said I thought Canada was larger, and I was just about to say Canada is a continent, but then I realized it's not. It totally isn't. It's a country. So yeah, that's probably larger. So just want to clear the air on that.
Okay. Great. Yeah?
I forgot about Canada.
Okay. I forgot about Canada.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we're calling this podcast now. I forgot about Canada. You want to jump into music because we're kind of talking music? Or do you want to do movies first?
Music, yes. I don't have a whole lot to talk about. Well, I'll jump right in with Song of the Week. My Song of the Week is Fade Away by Hannah Diamond. This is a bubblegum pop track, very reminiscent of Cara Cara Bonito. I heard it because of Cara Cara Bonito. And turns out it's not a very well-known song. I found it on YouTube. You know how YouTube does those, I don't know what they're called, but the official YouTube song topic thing. You know those?
Kind of.
Not released by a channel, but YouTube just has the song on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's only available in certain countries. I found that on YouTube, and it had 200 views. So 200 to 300 views, and it's okay, this is way more underground than I thought it was. So Fade Away by Hannah Diamond might not be your thing if you don't really simplistic, poppy, bubblegum pop, just sparkly, light music, but I like it. It's kind of depressing. I don't know.
Okay.
I like the idea of really happy sounding music that actually has somewhat depressing lyrics. It's kind of the Cara Cara Bonito effect. I don't know. That always gets to me.
Cara Bonito effect.
Yeah.
They're the ones that did the Flamingo song.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's a good song.
I hate that song.
How dare you?
I dare.
It's about racism.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Black, white, green, or blue. Show off your natural hue. Flamingo. If you're multicolored, that's cool too. Flamingo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's about racism. I think that's just about being culturally accepted. Accepting.
Yeah, as in not racism.
Anti-racist.
Anti-racist. It's not about racism as much as it is about accepting people. But it has...
So the opposite of racism.
Well, but it's like, it's about racism in the same way that it's about racism, but against racism, you know? It's like how Black Klansman's about racism. No, not really, because it doesn't... It doesn't specifically mention racism, but it's...
I get it.
You know, you get what I'm trying to say.
I do. All right, my song of the week this week is... All of a sudden, I have a sense I've already done this song. No, I haven't.
Sure.
Because it's not on the list. Short Change Hero by The Heavy.
I've never heard it.
Yes, you have. Because
it.
I've played it for you. And you always say
maybe.
you've never heard it. And then I say, well, I've played it for you. It is the song that is the intro to Borderlands 2.
Oh, yeah, I have heard it then.
I love this song.
For some reason, I always thought that was by Cage the Elephant.
Well, that's because that was the one in the first Borderlands.
Oh, yeah.
First Borderlands was Ain't No Rest for the Wicked.
Right, okay.
Which is why I'm excited to see what the third Borderlands chooses for their song.
I so want Borderlands 3 to come out.
I know. I'm very excited.
It's so close, but so far away.
I know.
I don't even know if it's officially... Well, it is in development, but who knows?
It's officially announced to be in development.
Yes, okay.
But this song is great. It's got some pretty high-pitched vocals from what the sound usually is in these types of songs. Typically, it has this Western style, so typically you expect kind of a gruff, I don't know, Western-y voice, but it's got a pretty high-pitched singer, which I was surprised.
Cool.
First time I heard it. And really, it was Borderlands that put the love of it into me, and it's stayed there ever since, and it's still good.
Yee.
Yee.
I've got a... this is going to be a thing that's not going to interest a whole lot of people, but I just went to a gig, my first gig in several months, because I've just been distracted. It was... Oh, yeah, that's right. I was excited to talk to you about it, because I don't think I've mentioned anything about it to you.
No, nothing.
Okay, so the lineup was Nice.
Nice.
Weathered.
Tight.
Absinthe Father.
Yeah.
And Gully Boys. I don't think I'm forgetting a band.
Dope.
But that was the lineup. And Abe texted me like a week beforehand. He's like, you should totally come to this gig. And I was like, okay, I think I'll be free that day. And he's like, you really, really are going to want to be at this gig. And I was like, okay, I'll be there. And he's like, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but there may or may not be a special guest at this gig, so you should definitely come. And I was like, okay, I'm going to come. So, Abe being the bassist of Nice, he was like, totally, you want to come to this one. And then I was like, okay, special surprise. I had my ideas of what that might be, but I was like, no, that's not gonna. And then I went to the show, and then I saw Abe, and I was like, hey, and then I stood in the audience, and then Remo Drive walked out, and they were the opening act.
That's pretty great.
I was like, whoa. And the funny thing was, I wore a Remo Drive shirt, and I felt bad because I suppose I'm misleading in the chronology of how I'm saying this, because I did actually, when I walked in, it was Abe and Eric Paulson, lead singer of Remo Drive, in the room, and I was like, oh, Eric's here. So I did see that, and then I felt super embarrassed because I was wearing a Remo Drive shirt, and Eric looked at me and he was just like, I. I think they assumed that Nice blabbered and told people, but I just wore the Remo Drive shirt because that's what I wear to gigs.
It is.
So it was just a complete coincidence, but anyway, Remo Drive played, and then Nice played. And Remo Drive played all new songs that I assume are going to be on their upcoming LP, and they're pretty good. And I'm looking forward to the new LP. And Sam wants your drink.
Yep.
So,
That's okay.
yeah.
Tight.
I really like it when big bands do that, where they just like play unannounced shows at like small venues. Like this was downtown Minneapolis. It was called the Fallout Urban Art Center or Urban Art Institute or something. Awesome. And it's literally like a storefront. Like if you think downtown Northfield,
Yep.
it's like that. It's like a storefront, and it's half art displays, and then the back half is like a venue, like a stage.
That's very weird.
It was really weird, and I liked it a lot.
All right.
So,
Very
yeah.
cool.
It was really fun. Yeah, so Nice played all new material that's going to be on their upcoming EP. Oh, should mute that. And then the remaining 3 bands, I feel like I'm missing a band, but I don't think I am. No. The remaining 3 bands were great. I had never seen Absinthe Father or Gully Boys play before, and they're both really cool.
What about the Weathered?
Weathered, I had never even heard of, and that ended up being, I think, my favorite show. My favorite performance of the night.
Oh.
Weathered is really, really cool. Their singer is this bold, beautiful man. He was wearing a really ugly Christmas sweater, and he's like kind of fat, like kind of your size, and he's got like this like majestic beard and these glasses, and he's like balding.
That's
and it's
great.
like and they're a this really like noisy like ambient rock bands that's just like super loud and super fun. So
Very cool.
I absolutely recommend checking Weathered out. They're a lot of fun in person.
Yeah, very cool.
So that was a fun night. And then we went to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Well, there you go.
The non-vegan people there went to Buffalo Wild Wings. That was me and Abe and some other people.
Tight.
Yeah.
I don't have nearly as interesting stuff for music, so that'll almost be the end of it. I listen to some blues, and that playlist that I made, if you want to follow it, go to Purple Banana King on Spotify. And it's called Tuesday. Just look it up. It's
Are
got
you
a
going
lot
to make
of...
it Wednesday next?
No,
Okay.
probably Thursday.
Ah.
Just gonna... Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it's got a lot of mixed stuff on there. A lot of stuff from Wheels, Roberto, Colin. I put one song on there, and it was on accident.
Let me guess. Is it Vapor Trails by Rush?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's because somebody asked for Vapor Trails, and I thought that's what they wanted, but it was Vapor Trail by Ride. So then I just left it, because Vapor Trails by Rush is good too.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to check that out, a bunch of music suggestions from a bunch of people. That will be updated, not regularly, but every now and then. Go ahead and give it a good old peek.
Neat.
Yeah.
And yeah, you did talk about this a little bit on stream.
Yeah, I went into it a little bit more in depth, but I don't think it'll be super interesting to go, track by track.
Yeah. Go check out, I think it was the second Tricky Towers stream, if you want to hear him talk about it more.
Yep.
So yeah, no, I'm streaming now. Josh has joined me streaming.
And I may start streaming too as well.
Cool.
Because I'm getting a new mic.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yee.
So hopefully soon we'll be able to set this rig up, and we'll have 2 mics, one for each person.
That's what I was gonna say. Right now, I've got, for our first time ever, we have this semi-professional setup I've got a mic boom stand right in between us, so the mic's like head level between the two of us being on a stand, and it's really nice. I'm glad I made this purchase. And Josh got another Blue Yeti, so eventually what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 mics hooked up to the same computer and do it super professionally, and you'll be able to hear us both very clearly instead of us both talking into one omnidirectional mic.
Yeah.
So that'll be really neat.
And I may end up getting this program soon as well.
It's free, so go for it.
Yeah, we'll see.
If you bring a mic stand, we can be super professional. Then we need 2 cameras so we can have do a video podcast.
That sounds just great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. You want to get into some movies?
Absolutely, I do. We've got one big one to talk about. Oh, hold on.
Let's push that one to the very end.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up my list. I think I had a couple others to talk about.
Right. Well, I'll list off my my movie of the week, which will spoil that big one at the end.
Okay.
But we'll wait to talk about it.
Sounds good.
My movie of the week is Overlord, which Colin and I saw in theaters. And we'll talk about that
Yes.
in a little bit. What's your movie of the week?
My movie of the week is Fateful Findings. And that's because... That's because Neil Breen's got a new movie out. And, I'm feeling festive.
I actually knew that.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about it.
Yeah. I really wanted to see his new movie, A Twisted Pair.
Yeah.
It came to Minnesota, and it's sold out, immediately.
Yeah.
Abe was really on top of it, and he sent me a link to it, and it was already sold out. When I checked it, it was already sold out. I was like, man, I really hope I get to see it in the theater, but if not, I'll have to settle for, buying it on DVD or something.
Or just YouTube.
Maybe. Could do. So yeah, my movie of the week is Fateful Findings.
It shouldn't be.
Neil Breen's masterpiece.
It
is...
it's upsetting is
honestly,
what it is.
I don't think Neil Breen's ever going to top Fateful Findings. That's kind of the pinnacle as far as I'm concerned. I mean, A Twisted Pair looks promising because...
Wasn't A Twisted Pair put on Facebook under, the trashy movie lover page?
I don't know what that means.
Oh my gosh.
But A Twisted Pair, Neil Breen plays twins. One of them is evil and has a goatee.
Oh no.
So I'm talking about Twisted Pair, not Fateful Findings. Fateful Findings, great movie. Just check it out. Absolutely worth your time.
That's awful.
So yeah, it's my movie of the week.
I'm not happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. My love for bad movies is interesting because it's honestly it's not like I enjoy it ironically. I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
It's like obviously it's a bad movie and nobody can say otherwise, but I just like watching it. There's a character to it,
Yeah. So yeah, the thing that was on Facebook that was talking about the Neil Breen showing was called Trash Film Debauchery.
Yeah. That's yeah.
That describes everything Neil Breen's ever done perfectly.
Absolutely. He is he's just the weirdest, the most deluded filmmaker, and I appreciate him.
You shouldn't.
Because his movies have more value than the big budget Marvel committee movies.
I still disagree.
Because he's a singular voice. He's a visionary filmmaker.
That doesn't matter to me.
And he can do what he wants.
I would rather watch
He's not under the thumb of any corporation.
I'd rather watch the same superhero movie 80 times in a row than watch another Neil Breen film.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. Have you seen any other movies?
Yeah. I saw a movie called Camera Person, and I almost made it my movie of the week, but I like it, but it's I don't have a desire to see it again. It's a It's a documentary that has no specific subject. It's a compilation of camera footage compiled over like 10 years of this camera person who's traveled the country and shot like specific events, like gone to very poverty ridden areas of the world. It's interesting, but there's no narrative structure, and that could be kind of a deal breaker for some people. It feels very much random, and we actually devised a meta narrative while we were watching it, because one piece of footage that it keeps cutting back to is one set of footage that it keeps cutting back to is the filmmaker's mother, who has Alzheimer's, and it was just her being very confused late in her life. And we thought that this movie, in how fractured and it's just like broken memories, like it's every memory starts and ends abruptly, every piece of footage is very abrupt and out of place. We thought that because there's this constant footage of her Alzheimer's suffering mother, that this is actually kind of a tribute to her mother. And it actually makes a lot of sense when we started to talk about it, and it's a very interesting movie, and I highly recommend everybody go check it out. But it's like if you like documentaries that have like a message and have like a point and have a structure, you're not gonna enjoy it, because it is just kind of a compilation of footage.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that sounds interesting.
it is.
Have you seen anything else?
But instead, I chose Fateful Findings as my movie of the week.
Yeah, you did. Good job.
And so my priorities are in the right place.
Oh, rough. In the meantime, I've been watching Incredibles 2.
Sick.
Which you can't call The Incredibles 2, because it's just called Incredibles 2.
Yeah.
So if you look up The Incredibles 2, you're not going to get what you want.
Yeah.
I guess. And that was okay.
Yes. It is I don't know. I don't know if I can call it disappointing, because what are you supposed to do with that? Like
it's a passable animated movie that blew everything out of the water because everyone was just waiting for something like Incredibles 1.
Yeah.
And it was. Except I liked Incredibles 1 more because it was new and awesome and flashy.
Incredibles 1 had a whole lot more going to it. I think Incredibles 2, although it's difficult to really critique Incredibles 2, because it's like a lot of people called it just a soulless cash grab, just like every Pixar movie, and I don't really see it that way. I think it is sort of a passion project for Brad Bird, but he's kind of, I don't know, all the creativity he had, he kind of used up for The Incredibles. And this, it's not a bad story, but it's like, it's just not nearly as good as the first one. And It's like, I don't think anything can be. It's difficult to make a follow-up to The Incredibles, because The Incredibles is legitimately incredible. One of the best animated movies of all time, arguably one of the best superhero movies of all time.
Yeah.
So this movie's not nearly as profound as The Incredibles. It's just kind of fun, and there's not a whole lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
One thing that really bothered me, and it's kind of nitpicky, but the voice actor for Mr. Incredible, I'm constantly forgetting his name, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He just sounded tired.
And he probably is.
Just sounded very old and very tired.
He probably
and he sounded
is
like
at this point.
Really wasn't. I mean, to be fair, he's probably pretty old and pretty tired, so he was trying his best, but it's just like...
And granted,
there was like no energy to it.
And granted, he is tired through the majority of this film. So, as a character,
but it worked in the Jack scenes where he's just coming apart at the seams, like that tired voice worked. But it was like that throughout the whole movie. It wasn't supposed to be tired.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then the woman who plays Mrs. Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
She has this odd speech thing now where her S's are like shh.
I mean, she's always had that. I just think it's stronger now.
It's way more noticeable.
But yeah, no, she's always had that.
And all the voice actors who are from the original movie, they're just noticeably way older. And that would
actually with some may say with Violet that she sounds a lot older, but I always thought she sounded super old in the first one too.
I didn't notice it as much in the first one. In the first one, I could suspend disbelief and say, sure, this is a teenager, even though I knew it was like a woman in her like 30s. But now it really sounds like a middle-aged woman trying to play a teenager. Like,
I always thought she just sounded weird in the first place.
Maybe. I didn't... When I was a kid, I didn't realize that Dash was played by like a girl, right? Or was it a guy?
I don't know. It's been a while.
I don't know. But I didn't realize that Violet was played by like a 30-year-old woman because you don't realize those things as
I didn't know it was a 30-year-old woman, but I did know that she sounded funny.
Well, it's like and there's a lot of things like Bart's played by a woman, Timmy Turner's played by a woman. Like there's a lot of like
male children being played by older female actresses
and that kind of thing.
Actresses.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought, as a whole, that this movie was all right and worth a watch. I won't be buying it, but I'm glad I saw it.
I gotta give props to the voice actor, the kid. Like they got an actual kid to play Dash again, but a different kid from the first movie. He did a great job. He sounded exactly like the kid from the first movie.
It's almost like all kids are the same until they get to the age of like 8.
Fair, yeah.
They all just want to play Fortnite, and they all sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
They all talk about how they did your mom.
Yeah, it's true. And the baby that played Jack the baby that played Jack Jack did a pretty good job.
Yeah, no, it was fine. It was great. It sounded like a baby.
Bob Odenkirk.
Odenkirk.
Okay.
Sure.
Odin's son. He was, he was Bob Odenkirk.
I like him. I like his voice.
I like him too, but it's just like, oh hey, it's Bob Odenkirk.
He's getting older. It's sad to think he's not going to be around a whole lot longer either.
I don't know. He's still kicking.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's what? He's got to be 70?
I don't think he's that old.
You don't think he's that old?
No.
Oh, well, maybe we got plenty of years left with him then.
I think he's like late 50s, early 60s, maybe.
Well, all right. Well, I hope that he is.
I don't know.
Hopefully he'll be around longer.
Yeah.
So yeah, watched Incredibles 2.
Cool.
That was all right. Watched Atomic Blonde. Remember that movie Atomic Blonde?
I do. How was that?
Female John Wick.
Yeah.
It was more convoluted than John Wick, which means worse.
John Wick works because of its simplicity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kill my dog, I'm coming to kill you.
Yeah. That's
Bam.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all there is to John Wick.
I mean, there's a lot of world stuff that's happening,
Yeah.
but as far as like the actual plot, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
In this movie, there's a lot of back and forth between Russian, American, French spies.
I hear
stuff happening.
it's like John Wick with like a lot of spy intrigue that's like that just nobody cares about.
Yeah, like all we wanted was to see James McAvoy and Charlize Theron just go and fight. That's all I wanted.
Sure.
I just wanted to see some cool spy fighting and shooting, and there is that. There's a lot of that, but there's also a lot of, let's talk to the CIA. Let's figure out what's happening here, and that whole line gets fuzzy and boring, and the story starts becoming a little bit too convoluted for what the movie actually is. Might just be the director being a little pretentious about how he wanted it, but I don't know.
Well, it's like I gotta think that the inspiration to make Atomic Blonde was the director saw John Wick and thought I can do that, but then at some point he also saw Mission Impossible and he was like I can do that too.
Probably.
He or she, I don't know if it was male, but
I don't know. Probably male.
But it's like
there was a lot of like really graphic, sexualized women in this movie.
Yeah, I suppose that's the thing that John Wick had like none of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of like there are bits and pieces where I'm like, wow, this is actually really done well. Because in the opening scene,
Well, I've seen some of the fight scenes from it, and they're actually shot well.
the fight scenes are good. That's what I like.
Pretty much John Wick caliber fight scenes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad.
They're just a lot shorter and less of them.
Yeah.
But the opening scene is, I don't remember, but there's an opening scene with Charlize Theron where she's in an ice bath, completely naked. She gets out. You don't see a whole lot. You see a little bit of breasts, but that's about it. But the entire thing is done with this really, really cool blue lighting and creates this really nice atmosphere of her being, it kind of sets her up to be this cold, heartless person.
Yeah.
And I thought that entire beginning section was awesome, and they used nudity in a way that wasn't like overly sexual, which was great. And then they went on and had this really weird lesbian sex scene.
Yeah, I heard people talking about that. Which, like, that seems slightly out of place in a movie like this.
It didn't feel like it needed it.
Yeah.
Like, if it was in it, it didn't need to be as graphic for sure.
Sure. Were you watching this with Jacob?
Well, yeah, the whole family. But it wasn't even like the awkwardness that I was upset about. It's just I didn't feel like it needed to be there.
Sure.
As a plot device, as a story element, it just didn't feel like it had any ties.
I appreciate John Wick for not feeling like it has to go there. Because John Wick is very, very aware of, like, what it's trying to... what its appeal is. And it's like, we don't need to throw unnecessary sex scenes in there because why would we?
Yeah.
And that John Wick's very straightforward in that regard. And I appreciate it for that.
Yeah, me too.
It's a pet peeve of mine where a movie... There are movies that do sex scenes and there are movies that do nudity well, and it serves a purpose. But there are so many movies you see where it happens and you're like, why is this happening? Like, it's just to, I don't know, appease people who just want to see it. And it's like, I don't, it's like, I don't know, it's just unnecessary.
And so Charlize Theron, Charlize,
yeah.
She wears a blonde wig throughout this movie, essentially.
Right.
And it kept going back and forth between being really believable blonde hair and being like this really weird looking rag on her head.
Like Venom Woody Harrelson with the red clown
wig. Yes, that kind of bad.
Yeah.
And so I kept jumping back and forth, and I never found out if it was a wig, but there were some scenes where it just looked really bad.
Yeah.
So I gotta imagine it was. But then there were scenes where it looked really, really good.
Maybe it's a half and half situation. Like when she first started filming, she needed to have different hair for like another movie or something, so they had to wear a wig. But then like at a certain point, she could actually dye her hair blonde.
Could be. I guess I don't know. The world may never know.
Yeah, who knows?
Unless you go to the internet. But on the other side, I mean, I think I watched another movie, but I can't remember what. So we'll just talk about Pirates of the Caribbean 3.
I
finally watched all 3 of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
There are 4.
No, there's not.
Okay,
3.
fair enough. There's 5.
Yeah,
is there 5?
There's like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
No.
The 5th one came out like this
There's
year.
only 3.
Okay.
And the 3rd one's great. I had a good time. If you're going to watch Pirates of the Caribbean, do it. Watch 1 through 3. All of them. They're awesome. I had a great time, man.
Cool.
I forgot how fun Johnny Depp was in those old Pirates movies. I said this before when I watched 1 and 2, but they're just fun.
Johnny Depp gets a lot of flack these days, but I don't think... Here's the thing. Johnny Depp... The Pirates series killed Johnny Depp's career because after the Pirates series, he was just trying to recapture that Jack Sparrow magic. and it kind of killed his career and it killed his public interests. Like, people were like, oh, that Jack Sparrow. He doesn't get enough credit for actually playing Jack Sparrow because he does a fantastic job, and it's legitimately one of the best roles he's ever done. Mm-hmm. But it's what he did after the role that kind of killed it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, he was fine in Nightmare on Elm Street, and he was good in Edward Scissorhands, but he's phenomenal in The Pirates 1 through 3.
Yeah.
All of them. All 1 through 3.
I'd agree.
So yeah, watch that. Very good. Give it a watch. Lots of good gags.
I've got several movies to talk about, some of which haven't even come out yet, and some of which have, but I haven't seen them yet.
All right. What do you got?
Well, first of all, I want to talk about the Artemis Fowl trailer that dropped today.
Oh, it's tight.
There's an Artemis Fowl movie coming out, and I'm interested in it because it's one of the only movies based on young adult books coming out these days that I can actually care about. Because I did really like the Artemis Fowl series when I was a kid, and the teaser trailer dropped today. It's kind of, I don't know what to think about it. What I said on Discord is, for an Artemis Fowl movie, it's got very little actual recognizable Artemis Fowl imagery, and what is there is noticeably changed from the books. Butler, were you a fan of Artemis Fowl? Did you read the books?
I read the first one, okay. But I was on I was getting too old by that point to actually really dig into the series.
Yeah, I think I read the whole series in late elementary school.
Yeah, and see, I was late middle school when I picked up the first one because I remember everyone talking about them, but I never got around to it until late middle school. So I'm like, it's getting a little weird to be carrying this around nowadays. People are carrying around big old books, thick ones, and I'm here. I am.
The Artemis Fowl books are pretty thick, especially the later ones. But yeah, it's. I believe that Artemis Fowl, the series, is somewhat adult enough that you could probably read it in middle school or even high school. It might be pushing it into high school but it is, they're violent. they're very dark, so they have that going for them. But yeah, no, there was it showed a couple brief shots of Artemis Fowl, and he looked like Artemis Fowl. I was like, all right, cool, it looks fine. Butler is now black, and instead of having a Sig Sauer machine pistol, which was his weapon of choice in the books, a machine pistol, probably not a machine pistol, but I just imagined it as a machine pistol as a kid. But he has a Sig Sauer pistol in the books, but I didn't see him with any sort of gun in the trailer, but he does have a magic bow and arrow. So I was like, that's kind of weird.
Okay.
I was like, okay, maybe that's in the book and I don't remember it, but it didn't show him with a gun, and the gun was like a character of itself. The amount of times the book specifically mentions his gun is unbelievable, to the point where I remember the name Sig Sauer because it's so prevalent in the book.
Wow. All right.
It's but yeah, in the book, Butler was this massive Romanian man or something from a Eastern European country, pale, whatever. And here he's a massive man, but he's black, and it's I was like, well, I'm okay with it. I mean, him being white has nothing to do with his character, so go for it. Right. As long as he's got a Eastern European accent, I'm cool with it. Yeah. There's one shot of him in the trailer where he's looking at something and he's having this really shocked reaction face. He's like, and I was like, I don't like that, because Butler in the books was emotionless. So it's I
get that.
There's but between those two. And there's one shot of the underground world, New Haven, I think it's called, where all the fairy tale creatures live. Other than that, there's not a lot of Artemis Fowl imagery going on. So, I guess it is just a teaser trailer. Like, there's a lot of characters I want to see in this movie that would have to be in the movie, but none of them are shown, other than the 2 main characters. So, we'll see.
Right.
And, yeah, I'm somewhat interested in it. I'd probably go see it. Just because I've got a lot of nostalgia for the series.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up for movies for me.
Oh, I have, hold on. I got a couple other things. There's Overlord. There's Buster Scruggs, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, the Coen Brothers movie.
I haven't seen it yet. Have you?
No.
Okay. There's I'm going to see it very soon because it looks pretty good. There's The Christmas Chronicles, in which Kurt Russell plays Santa Claus.
Yep.
Directed by the guy that directed the Angry Bird movie and nothing else.
I didn't know that.
I
knew Kurt Russell was Santa. That's all I knew.
Okay. And then Toy Story 4 is coming soon-ish. Keanu Reeves is in it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to mention those.
John Wick 3 is also coming next year.
Next year. Cool.
I'm very excited.
I am pumped. Because John Wick 2 ended on a kind of a neat cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It was like now the whole world of assassins is coming for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very excited.
I'm super pumped to see how the third one turns out.
Yeah. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Him and his dog taking down the world.
Yeah.
Woo! Let's go.
Jeez, I love those movies. Oh, okay. Then that's it for me, other than Overlord.
Right. Let's talk about some Overlord.
So,
Overlord is a movie that came out a while ago that was at one point being hijacked by the infamous Cloverfield people, but then miraculously escaped under its claws and came out as a normal movie.
Still produced by J.J. Abrams and his company, but not a Cloverfield movie.
I have a feeling that's due to the paradox conundrum.
The Cloverfield paradox.
Yeah.
Because I've talked this over a few times, and I'm sure everybody knows the story, but just to recap, Cloverfield happened 2008-ish.
And it was pretty good.
It was good. People liked it. People have been clamoring for a Cloverfield sequel for a long time, but there was no news of any. And then this 10 Cloverfield Paradox came... No, 10 Cloverfield Lane came out. Sorry.
Which was good until the last 15, 20 minutes.
Well, but it's like, it came out, and it was just like, it was like coming out... the trailer released, and it's like coming out next month. And it was like the announcement. And everybody was shocked. They're like, there's a Cloverfield movie sequel coming out in like a couple weeks. And we didn't know about it until right now. And then everybody was so excited, and then it turns out it wasn't a Cloverfield movie. It was a movie called The Cellar, or something similar, that was in development, had nothing to do with Cloverfield. And then J.J. Abrams added 15 minutes of footage on the end of it and ruined the whole thing. Didn't ruin the whole thing, but the Cloverfield ending is the lamest ending of all time, and 10 Cloverfield Lane was such a phenomenal movie until that point. And thus began a trend that was supposed to go all through this year, except it failed.
And it stopped right there with Netflix's original.
The Cloverfield Paradox, which was a movie called The God Particle, which had nothing to do with the Cloverfield series, but again, J.J. Abrams shoehorned some footage into it.
He just smashed it in there.
And the thing is, J.J. Abrams got lucky with 10 Cloverfield Lane, because 10 Cloverfield Lane was a good movie.
Yep.
The Cellar was a good movie that he written by Damien Chazelle of La La Land fame. It was a very well-made movie that he got his grubby paws on. And
oh, I like it.
And that worked out, and it was like, ooh, let's do this again. The issue is the God Particle was never going to be a good movie. It was terrible even before the Cloverfield integration.
So the only thing that the Cloverfield thing did was give this movie a lot more attention than it deserved.
And then everybody's like, wait a second, this movie sucks.
Yep.
and it killed the entire Cloverfield series pretty much single-handedly. Because this new movie, Overlord, which was called Overlord, they're like, Overlord, which has been in development, is coming out this year, and it's going to be another Cloverfield movie in World War II with zombies. And
it had the lines going off, the words, like all the other Cloverfield movies. And then we checked back a couple months later, and I looked at it, I'm like, they changed it so it doesn't have the lines anymore. And
it turns out they completely abandoned it in the Cloverfield series, and now it's just its own movie.
Yeah.
And it's so unlucky for J.J. Abrams. He got lucky with 10 Cloverfield Lane. If he would have passed up the God Particle and put it on Overlord, he might still be making Cloverfield movies.
It's true.
Because Overlord's a great movie.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy that he did do the God Particle instead of this. Or he did the God Particle before this movie, because it killed interest in the Cloverfield brand, and he wasn't able to, like, ruin Overlord.
Yeah. And this movie was just fun.
Yeah.
It was just good. It didn't have any weird BS that I didn't want.
Overlord's got, like, very, very little and annoying stuff. It's very efficient. It's very tight. Yeah. There's no nonsense. It's just a straightforward, fun, entertaining action horror movie.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's phenomenal.
So Overlord kicks off. We're in World War II, and we are on a plane.
Oh, and that opening sequence is just amazing. I was like, wow.
We're on a plane, and the main character is this. What's his name? Do you remember his name?
Boyd.
Boyd. So the main character is Boyd, and basically the planes are getting shot down. They got to go take out this transmission tower. They're like, okay, gonna go do it. So they get out of the plane. The plane crashes. Everything's bad. There's a lot of people
you're forgetting something. First of all, Boyd wanders to the back of the plane and he meets Kurt Russell. What?
You had me think for a second that Kurt Russell was actually in this movie.
He was!
No, he's not. It's Kurt Russell's son. I was just imagining...
Wyatt Russell in this movie, Kurt Russell's son, he's playing Kurt Russell. It couldn't be any more blatant. He's like, this is my Kurt Russell impression.
Oh my God.
And he looks like Kurt Russell because he's Kurt Russell's son. And it's like, this is amazing.
You don't understand. You had me freeze because I thought for a second that Kurt Russell actually was in this film, and I just missed it because I'm like, wait, no, he wasn't.
He was in spirit. His bloodline was present. Because Wyatt Russell could not be more Kurt Russell if he tried. This was Kurt Russell in The Thing.
Yeah. It was great. He did a great job.
And it was a blast to watch because Kurt Russell is from an era when movie stars had charisma.
Yeah.
And that's like not a thing anymore.
And he's Santa.
And it's true. Wyatt Russell has that Kurt Russell charm, and it's like, this is amazing. This feels like a movie like from another time, where like people could have just a ridiculous amount of charm and charisma, and people didn't have to be like John Wick, like, you killed my dog. He's like Wyatt Russell is that gruff, mysterious guy, but he's like so likable.
Yeah,
and he's
just got a good face.
Yeah, he's just Kurt Russell. He's just mini Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
it's extraordinary.
So the plane comes down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people blowing up. We end up with a group of like 4 people.
Four or five people.
Five people.
Yeah, 5, and then one of them blows up.
We got Kurt Russell, we got Boyd, and other guys.
The New Yorker guy.
Yeah, the New Yorker guy.
Yeah.
He chews bubble gum. Yeah, it's real good.
That guy is another like character from a movie from like 20 years ago.
It's very true.
It's like,
you don't see that one a whole lot anymore,
this movie is not afraid to go full cheesy. And I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was the best part.
It's like, it's cheesy with its characters. The characters are ridiculous caricatures of, like, certain, like, stereotypes. but the movie takes the premise seriously. It's this odd balance where it works.
When I come in, when I think about this movie, I think this movie shouldn't work.
Right.
But it really does.
I don't get it.
It really does.
I think the reason it does is it doesn't try to like overcomplicate it and pollute it with a lot of other things. It's very singular in its purpose.
Yeah. So this group of people, they end up meeting this woman, and she's out scavenging off of killed soldiers. Mm-hmm. She ends up bringing them back to her house. They find out that she's kind of wants to be part of the resistance to the Nazis that are kind of overtaking her village and transforming her people into weird things. Like, they did weird experiments on her grandmother and took her mother and father, killed her mother, took her father.
And it's worth noting there's that scene where the aunt, I think it was an aunt, is in the room, and he goes in her to see the room.
Oh, that part was awful. He's like inching towards the room because he hears the weird noises.
And that's the one issue with this movie, and that is in doing the horror elements that come with it being a zombie movie, it's just a sequence of predictable jump scares, like painfully predictable jump scares.
Yeah, so predictable that you don't jump.
Yeah, exactly.
At all.
You're just well, I mean, it's like I literally could just like point and just like pinpoint exactly get right where the jump scare is.
And boo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's that's the one major negative of the movie, and I wish it didn't do that as much. But when it's not doing that, it's fantastic. But what I was gonna say is when he goes and sees the zombie woman in the room, up until that point, it's not a horror movie. It's just a straight on war movie.
Yep.
And it's not like it doesn't give away the fact that it's a horror movie at all. It's a war movie until it isn't all of a sudden. And it still is a war movie, but it's just like, you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Like the way the zombie stuff's
it
integrated
shifts.
Yeah. The way the zombie stuff is integrated is very good and very natural, and it's like it takes the war element seriously, and then the zombie thing's introduced, and then it kind of changes.
So yeah, what ends up happening is they're in the house. They have to take out this tower, so they're getting ready to do that. They send out some patrol groups, and then the boy gets. Like, he just gets wrapped up in something real quick where he saw, like, one of his partners or something get taken. I don't remember exactly what happened. It's been a while since we've seen it. But he ends up jumping into the back of this truck full of bodies that they're taking to the compound. He goes to the compound. He gets into the compound. And he sees all this crazy stuff, the zombies stuff and whatnot.
He sees a disembodied head talking to him.
Yeah, that was awesome. That looked really cool.
It was, yeah.
And then he ends up getting out of there, by the skin of his teeth. He ends up getting back, and by now they've got he has a needle from the lab.
Yeah, he steals it.
The captain guy. They punch him because he was gonna have sex with the girl.
Yeah. And they have him tied up in the attic.
And Kurt Russell just beats the living daylights out of him, and it's just brutal, man. Ouch. Anyway, the captain of the Nazi guys, he ends up getting a gun, shoots the photographer guy that was on their team. He ends up using the needle on the photographer man. Weird stuff happens.
Yeah.
He goes like...
It's like it's like full on body horror.
Yeah, like The Thing.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
It's really well done body horror, and it's super unsettling.
Yeah,
and that's where the movie shines. I wish it had a few less cheap jump scares, but it knows it can pull off good body horror. It can pull off horror without jump scares. I just wish it knew that it didn't have to have jump scares also. But
yeah.
Or if it did have jump scares, like good jump scares, not like these really cheap ones that are extremely predictable.
And by now, I mean, we're just going to spoil the whole film, right? Because, I mean, it really isn't.
Sure,
Because the story's so predictable.
I actually got a fair amount of it spoiled before going into the movie, and I didn't even really, like, think about it or notice it. Because it is really about the experience. Yeah. It's not... The plot doesn't matter that much.
Yeah. So they end up killing their friend. Then the captain man ends up escaping somehow and drives off back to the lab.
He got shot by Wyatt Russell, and he's got like this big hole is blown out of his face.
It's awesome.
It's like there's some really good like gore prosthetics in this movie.
Good.
A lot of practical stuff.
I might end up buying on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's some great practical effects with the gore. It's
and then they end up going back to the lab. They have this whole plan. The plan is, I mean, it reminds me of like a heist movie. Like they make the plan, they do the plan. Like it just worked,
and you like get what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like really easy to follow, and it's it's not convoluted in the slightest. They're like, this is our goal. Here's how we're gonna achieve that goal. Then you watch them do it.
Yeah, and the girl has a little brother, and the little brother got taken. Mm-hmm. They're gonna like do experiments on him, whatever. So they go try to get the kid. They get back to the lab. They're gonna rig it so everything blows up, the tower and all of it.
Yeah,
and then you just get this amazing zombie fight between Kurt Russell and the bad Nazi leader.
That was fantastic.
Like a boss fight in a video game. It's amazing.
And
it's just amazing.
Yeah, like Wyatt Russell gets like hung on a hook.
Yeah,
right through his chest cavity.
I've seen in multiple horror movies.
And it's great. And then
this movie was great.
And then he just like pulls himself off the hook.
Yeah.
And then he injects himself in the zombie virus, and we get a zombie throwdown.
Yeah,
with him and the bad guy.
Oh my god, it was so fun.
And there's just this scene where the zombie bad guy is like one hand choke holding Wyatt Russell like above his head, and it's this like wide shot of this happening, and I'm like, this is like a fantasy action movie from the early 90s.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not the kind of thing you see these days. It's so campy.
I don't know why this was made, but I'm so glad it was.
Yeah, it works so well.
I want so much more of this.
Yeah, I want that kind of movie to come back. Like it's campy, but it takes it seriously.
Yeah. It wasn't pretentious, but it just knew what it was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was so good. So the big boss fight goes down. It ends up, ending that entire section, basically. They blow up the thing, and then Boyd ends up going back to the camp.
Wyatt Russell sacrifices himself, and it's like the coolest sacrifice. Because, he goes out with a one-liner. I forget what it is, but, it's just... The Boyd is locked behind this gate because Wyatt Russell forced him to go out and lock the gate, and then they're talking through the gate, and it's this is classic action movie 101. Yeah. He's like, I'm not gonna make it out of here, kid.
Well, yeah, because he's already been hooked.
Yeah, and he's a zombie at this point, so he's like, I don't want to live like this, and then he turns around as Boyd's running away, and the place is rigged to. Oh no, he's holding the explosive.
He has the C4
in his hand. Oh. And then the zombie guy comes back. He comes out of this well that Wyatt Russell threw him down, and he's all his flesh is gone. And then all these zombies start pouring into the place because they're all waking up.
And then he uses the lighter, and he's like, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, and then
and everything blows. It's so great.
And it's I think you and me, Josh, we were just both holding our hands over our mouths and leaning back in our seats. It's just yes,
yeah, yes.
It's
yes!
a satisfying, cathartic, heroic sacrifice is just something I've been wanting recently.
Yeah.
It's just so satisfying.
You don't hardly see it anymore because nobody in movies can die because there has to be a sequel.
Yeah, right.
And these types of movies just don't exist anymore. They're not around.
It's so quaint. It's it is from a different era.
Yeah. And it's a single standalone movie. If there was a sequel attached to this, if there was anything attached to this, it wouldn't be as good.
Yeah, because there's a definitive ending.
Yeah.
At the end, it's done. It's over.
He goes to Dark Eyebrow Man. I forget his name.
Yeah.
whatever. He's in a lot of things. He goes to like this general guy, and he's like, "Yeah, no, Kurt Russell did a great job. He thought we should blow it up from underneath because he thought that would be best." So he's like, "Well, did you see anything weird in that lab that you think we should be digging through to go get?"
Yeah,
and he's like,
just radio equipment.
"Just everything we blew up, sir. Nothing weird."
Yeah,
because like if anybody had the ability to make their soldiers into super strong zombies, the whole world would be ruined.
And that's where my revelation came, where I assumed this is one of those like alternate reality movies, but it's actually supposed to be. It takes place in our reality.
Yeah,
because then you realize it's like what it's trying to say. Of course, this didn't actually happen, but what it's trying to say is this happened in World War II, and they buried it and didn't tell anybody.
Yep.
Like that is the narrative. I was just kind of I didn't know how the movie would end, so I assumed this was the alternate reality type thing. But then it's like, cool.
Yeah.
It's not like Inglourious Bastards where they gun Hitler down at the end. This is like this actually happened.
Yeah.
It's like that's really neat.
It was very cool. I enjoyed it a lot. We ended up both walking out of there going, "That was a lot of fun."
Yeah.
You know. And yeah, I would suggest anybody go and watch this because yeah, it's a good time.
Unquestionably.
So yeah, I believe that's a solid recommendation from both of us for Overlord.
Now, would you like to spend the remaining half an hour talking about God of War?
Can I quick give a shout out to Spyro?
Spyro, sure.
Spyro.
Yeah.
I've been playing the first Spyro game from the Reignited trilogy that came out a little bit ago. It's great. I'm having a great time. If you like Spyro, it's perfect.
Cool.
The only downside and the only backlash that the studio has had for this, and they had this for Crash too, the Insane trilogy.
Is it the same? Is Naughty Dog? Did Naughty Dog do Spyro as well?
No, but Naughty Dog helped with Spyro.
Oh, okay.
They helped make the company that made it was having troubles making a recognizable good character,
right.
And since they did Bandicoot, they said, well, you know, this is kind of what we did, and you know, this is kind of what you could do, and so they helped, but I don't think they made it.
Okay.
But anyway, the Reignited trilogy, having a great time. Big controversy right now is that there are no subtitles. So if you are deaf, you can't hear any of the dialogue.
Okay. I'm assuming that'll be like patched though.
I mean, they didn't for the Insane trilogy, I don't think.
There's no subtitles for that either?
No, which is one of the big issues.
Were there subtitles for like the PS2 games?
No, but there should be. Games? I mean, we should have a standard for video games by now for people that are incapable of hearing, you know, so we can have subtitles. That's something we can do.
Yeah.
And there isn't a standard for it. There isn't like an ability to put.
Well, I mean, there is a standard for it these days, but I guess they just didn't want to add it because it didn't have it when they first came out. I don't know.
No, it's just them being dumb. It's more time added onto the game, you know, put into making the game that they just didn't want to do, and so they didn't.
Well, it's like these remasters are supposed to be like easy money. Like they're
not though.
They overhaul the graphics and
they're not just overhauled. They're completely remade.
Is it on like a new engine?
Yeah, complete new engine for both of them.
Okay.
So they're completely remade games. Toys for Bob has done a really good job remaking these games.
Okay.
Because they're not just simple remade games.
Then in this case they put some effort into it. But I'm thinking games like Uncharted.
The remastered trilogy?
Yeah, the remastered trilogy where it actually looks...
It's just the same.
Like, as good, maybe even worse than the originals. Like, the Arkham City remaster looks worse than the original. Yeah.
Wow.
And the Arkham Asylum. It's like there are certain, like model choices that look really dumb.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's rough.
So I just assume like most remasters are just like easy money.
No, the Insane trilogy and the Reignited
is like the same. Yeah.
The Insane and the Reignited are completely remade from the ground up essentially.
So they should have put subtitles.
They really should have, and it's kind of upsetting, you know, I think it's like 60% of gamers like to have subtitles on,
I do.
And that's 60%
I'm one of
that
those.
aren't deaf. That's 60% of the total.
I do it so I don't miss anything.
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes you're not listening. Sometimes
there's like noises going on. It's like
so it's kind of unacceptable at this point that you're not putting subtitles in your games. And even AAA games still have issues with subtitles where they'll make them, but they won't put them. They won't be synced right, or they won't be big enough to be able to see.
Yeah.
And they're not resizable sometimes. And there really should become an industry standard for subtitles as a whole, just to help, those who A, can't hear, and B, just because it's, it's just something that could help altogether.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I heard about when before I purchased it, that I was like, really, that's kind of crappy.
Yeah.
But, oh well. Spyro isn't really a game you need subtitles for in the end. Not to say that they shouldn't do it, but it's not necessary.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, there's no subtitles in Crash Bandicoot either. But in like my mind, like, is there dialogue in Crash Bandicoot?
There is. A lot of Cortex's, he talks a lot, and a lot of the other enemies, they blabber and whatever.
Yeah. I never played those games.
Yeah, once again, not super necessary, but, it's just, you should have it. This is 20, almost 19.
Sure.
It's just something that we should be putting in everything.
Yeah. You know what does have subtitles? God of War.
You better believe it, son.
All right. let's get real here, all right? So, last year was it, or this year? There was a God of War remake.
It was either late last year or early this year. I don't remember.
And I've now played it and beaten it. And I have very, very strong emotional feelings for this game. And I wasn't expecting that. And I don't even... me, I don't typically care that much about story in games, but, like, the story really gripped me in God of War.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Because it's really, really good.
It's really good. This is the first time in video game history that I've seen a story in a video game that I'm like, this is really good.
Yeah.
I actually really like the story.
It's really, really good. My favorite parts of this game are when you're boating around and either like Kratos is telling stories to Atreus or Mimir is talking about the gods.
Yes.
It's just that's the best parts of the game. I look forward to that.
You look forward to the boring travel sections.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
I look forward to getting in that boat, Wind Waker style, and traveling between islands because I'm like fighting on land on a beach. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's over with. I can get back to the boat so I can hear them talk.
Yes.
Because that's the most interesting thing about the game. Okay, let's start from the very beginning. Start from the basics.
Very beginning, you start. Step one.
Hold on, before I say this, we're going to spoil the entire game.
Yes.
So if you want to play God of War, this is the last thing we're talking about today, so shut this off now.
Yes.
So,
I don't think
we don't need to walk through the whole game. But so this is a very, very different game from the previous God of War games. This is way more Dark Soulsian, like very, very Dark Souls with the combat mechanics. There's the R1 for light attack, R2 for heavy attack, and then you dodge attacks, but there's the addition of like blocking attacks, and there's like a quick sidestep that you can do if you tap the X button once, and then if you double tap the X button, you do a roll. So it's like there's just really tight combat mechanics that work really, really well. And you don't have the Blades of Chaos. You have the Leviathan Axe. And see, I'm not a fan of the God of War series, but I'm familiar with the God of War series. I've played quite a bit of God of War 3 specifically, and a bit of the others. So it took a while for me to get used to the Leviathan Axe because it's a very like single target a weapon, whereas the blades of chaos, you're like flinging them around and you're like knocking everybody over, and it's like, so it's like it was. What I will say about it is, I was super not impressed by the combat for the first like hour of the game, because the Leviathan axe there's not a lot you can do with it until you upgrade it.
Yeah,
it's like the combat for the first portion of the game is very, very simple and very, very repetitive. And as you play the game, the more combat options open themselves up to you.
So many more.
And it by the point I'm at the game, which is I've completed the main story and I'm just like roaming the world doing additional stuff. The combat is very in depth and very satisfying.
Yeah, by the end of the game, you have the Leviathan axe, the Blades of Chaos.
Yeah.
You have Atreus' 2 different types of arrows. You have magic animals you can summon. You have 2 runic moves, 1 light, 1 heavy for each weapon. Yeah. And then you have like 18 different things you can do with the Leviathan axe, depending on what you hold, when you hold it, how you hold it.
And Atreus has got 2 arrow types, and just there's a lot of depth by the end of the game. And I just want to talk about the Chaos Blades real quick, because as a I guess you could say fan of the series, I had no clue that the Chaos Blades would be in this game. That was like a very well kept secret.
I'm surprised that didn't get spoiled for you.
No, I had no clue.
That's great.
He said I was anticipating it and I was preparing for disappointment, because he gets told that you have to go to Helheim, and the Leviathan axe won't work against the enemies there because they're all Hellwalkers, and the Leviathan axe doesn't work against Hellwalkers. And I was like, oh, okay, so we're getting a new weapon. And then he's like, time to go home and dig up my past. And I was like, oh. And I was just like, I had this look of shock on my face. And there's this sequence where it's like the world is like, everything's red, it's like bleeding from the sky, and it's like it's a major low point in the game. Atreus is dying, he's sick in Freya's hut, and you're just like slowly like paddling back to your home, back to the place it all started. It's so somber, and Athena shows up as a vision in your boat, and you're like, oh no. Because he's going back to his past, and he's like bringing back all these old painful memories, and he sees Athena, and it's like, wow, this is just epic. Like, it's so somber and so crazy. And then he shows up at his house, and it's this slow part where he moves the false floor in his house, and he like pulls out this package. And it's wrapped in the garment that he wears with the symbols from Greece. Yeah, the symbol for Sparta. War. Yeah. It's a Spartan garb, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is. I was just so. And then he opens it up, and there they are. It's the Blades of Chaos. Yep. And, well, actually, this is set up really great, because when you show up at your house, there's Hellwalkers there, and your Leviathan axe is ineffective against them, so you have to punch them. Yep. And it's actually a pretty tough fight, because it's just like having to punch all these Hellwalkers, and you just barely make it through this fight. And then you dig up the Blades of Chaos, and he just slowly wraps the chain around his arms, and it's so like good. It's like this sequence has so much weight to it, and it's like so cool. And then it's the world is falling apart, like the world's ending, like your son is sick, and you're digging up these relics from the past that you hope to forget about. You see Athena one more time, and you're just not having it. You walk right through her. And then you get out, and you get jumped by tons of Hellwalkers, and you just barely survive the last encounter with the Hellwalkers, and you unleash the Blades of Chaos, and the Leviathan axe is this it doesn't do a whole lot of damage at this point, and it's just this very like single enemy attack, and you start swinging the Blades of Chaos, and you just eviscerate the Hellwalkers. Like it functions exactly like the Blades of Chaos from the old games, the same like combo and everything. And I had this massive smile on my face, and it's like the most catharsis I've felt in a game in a long time, and I was unbelievably satisfied.
It's very good.
And I was like, this is amazing.
Yep.
This is what games should feel like.
That's right.
And you just tear through the Hellwalkers. And actually the whole sequence when you go to Helheim is like it's this very, very fun, uplifting sequence, despite the fact that you're in Helheim, because it's like the Blades of Chaos are so awesome.
Yeah. Well, and then you finally get the ability to work with those wind things.
Yeah, the winds of hell.
Yeah, which I've been looking at the entire game going, I want to do these!
Yeah, yeah.
And so then
that ties into the cool Metroidvania elements this game has.
I mean, you go back to everywhere and there's stuff that you can do when you finally get everything.
Yeah.
It's great. Areas you can unlock, people you can go see, quests you can finish.
Yeah.
It's great.
And and then you kill the gatekeeper,
which is awesome. That fight was awesome.
Yeah, that because you keep fighting those. They're not trolls. The big guys that have like the big slabs that they carry. Do they have a name? Like each one has.
They are trolls.
No, the trolls are the.
I thought those were ogres.
Oh, are those ogres?
I think so.
No, I think the smaller guys are trolls. They're the big guy. I don't know. Whatever those guys are.
Either way.
Each one has a specific name. They were the one thing about the game where it's like every time you fight them, some of them have different abilities, but it's pretty samey when you fight those guys. Mm-hmm. And then this guy, he's crazy. He's teleporting all over the place.
He's teleporting left and right. It's ridiculous.
He's got a whole lot of unique attacks. And you kill him, you cut out his heart, and yeah.
Then you just make your way back, go save Atreus.
And then it's like it's kind of the start of this roller coaster of emotions, because you save Atreus, and you tell Atreus he's a god, like that you're a god. I don't think you don't admit to him at that point that you're the ghost of Sparta, but you do say, I'm a god, you're a god, your mother was mortal, but you're a god, half god. Mm-hmm. And
then your son becomes a big old dick.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. This is a very good part of the game, because you feel for Kratos, and I realized it's an allegory for like how fathers feel when their son is like going through like the teenage years and they're like acting up. And your son he starts going down the dark path, and like he gets so in his own head that he's a god that he.
Well, yeah, because I mean, throughout the entire game up to this point, he's been very kind and loving to every person you've met. Yeah. You met the two dwarves. Are they dwarves?
Yeah, the dwarves.
You met
Sindri and Brock.
Yep, you meet those, and he's like really, trying to help them with their problems and be very nice and kind to them. Same thing with Freya. And then all of a sudden he goes up to Brock and Sindri, and he's like, your problems are stupid and little and they don't matter. Stop complaining. So I was like, shut up, kid.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's like it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like just being around Atreus. But it's like you need him to continue, and he's your son.
Yeah, he's still your son.
And so it's like I really felt like I felt sympathy for Kratos, and I felt like I was in Kratos' mind,
And like, during this segment of the game, one of the coolest things is not only was it like out of game, but in game there was issues. Like he would start combat encounters on his own.
Yeah, right.
He wouldn't fire when you told him to fire.
And that's so amazing when the story is told through great gameplay too.
Yeah.
He became erratic and harder to control.
He wouldn't do what you wanted him to.
Yeah, exactly. If you told him to shoot, he would be off doing something else,
Yeah. Well, and he was constantly physically attacking the enemies instead of staying back and shooting. Yeah. He was just running in, being very aggressive.
And that's a really neat touch that they actually tweaked how he behaved when he's going through this phase.
Yeah, that was great.
It's just fantastic. It's great game design.
Yeah.
And I haven't even mentioned my favorite character in the whole game, Mimir, the Scottish head that you carry with you for your travels.
The tree man where you chop off his head and then you hang it on your belt.
Yeah. He's got an eye missing, but his other eye is a glowing jewel.
Yeah.
Mimir is my favorite character in the game. Perhaps my favorite character in any game.
Wow.
Every time I loved Mimir. Mimir is like the MVP of this game. He is like...
Well, because if it wasn't for him, there would be so much missing lore.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, he serves a great purpose, and he explains what's going on in a way that's like easy to understand, and he's a great storyteller, and he provides a lot of levity. He's kind of the comic relief, but he also serves a very important purpose other than being the comic relief.
Yeah.
And the voice actor just does a great job. Like, he's just got so much personality, and it's like...
Yep.
Gosh, it's just well-written characters, man. And just, like, good dialogue.
Now, surprise, surprise, this game got a little bit of backlash when it came out.
Was that?
Because the old fans of the God of War series weren't very happy that you didn't get to kill all of the Nordic gods.
Yeah.
What a dumb complaint.
Well, yeah, and then here's the thing. I've heard a lot of people say that this new God of War game sucks because God of War, up until this point, has been all about excess. And this God of War game is about restraint.
Yeah.
And
which is fantastic.
I think it works great because it's the juxtaposition of Kratos teaching his son about restraint, but this is the same Kratos that existed in the old God of War games where he would kill everybody.
Yeah.
He saw innocent humans he would kill.
Yeah.
And he punched his own father so hard that he broke a whole pillar, his body. He just he held Zeus up against a pillar and just like beat his face in.
Yeah.
He is teaching his son restraint.
Yeah.
And the game's very aware of this contradiction. Like it's very, very self-aware in that fact. It's the fact that the old God of War games were so ridiculous that makes this game have a lot more weight in that it is a more mature story.
Yeah. I mean, I think in total you as the God of War kill 2 gods. Your son kills a third.
Yeah. Yeah, you kill
right? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, you kill you have like two okay. You have a boss fight with 2 gods. I forget their names. Mm-hmm. And you kill one of them. And the other one escapes, and then in a cutscene, your son kills the other one later on in the game.
Yes.
Stabs him in the neck and kicks him off a ledge when he's doing his whole I'm a god,
which thing. Was like
is really harsh. Yeah. It was really
rough.
harsh.
Yeah. And then at the end of the game, of course, you kill Balder. But
yes,
that's a whole different thing, and there's lots of cool stuff that happens there. Lots of gray areas in whether or not he should be killing somebody, intervening at all.
Yeah. Oh, and then Freya undergoes a big change, and I think Freya is going to be like an antagonist in potentially the next game. Yeah. So interesting. So she can't physically harm any living thing, but yet she is probably going to be one of the coolest villains of the next one because she says she's going to curse you until the end of your days, blah, blah, blah. Which is amazing. I'm very excited to see what they do with her in the next one. Yeah. And it's like there's a lot of moral ambiguity about your decision to kill Balder in the end of the game because Freya, who is Balder's mother, it's revealed later on, Balder's about to kill her and Freya's about to let him kill her. But Kratos can't let that happen, so he grabs Balder and he just snaps his neck because at that point they've gotten rid of his power, so he can be killed. And he kills Balder. And Freya goes berserk because you killed her son. And then it's like it has reverberations of what Kratos has been saying the whole game. Like all gods are alike. They have no logic or reason. They're just kind of they're all insane. And Freya, you get the sense that Freya's kind of no exception.
Well, and that part was so good because you had Atreus asking, do you think we did the right thing? And then you have Kratos saying she was never going to listen to reason. She was a mother first and foremost. And then Atreus asks, so are you saying that if I was going to kill you, you would let me? And then Kratos said, yeah. If it meant keeping you alive. Which is amazing. And what great. Ooh, it was so good.
And it's like the reason, and it speaks something to the game where I had a moral quandary and I was actually like thinking it over in my head, like, did we do the right thing by killing Baldur? Because I thought about it, it's like if you would have let Baldur kill, Freya, Baldur would have then tried to kill Kratos and Atreus. Yeah. And you would have had to have killed him anyway. Might as well save Freya in the process. But
okay, so you've completely finished the main story.
Yes. Well, here, I'll tell you, just in case there's something I haven't experienced. I'm at the point where it says explore the world or go back home.
Yeah,
I haven't gone back home. I'm still exploring.
I was going to ask about that too.
Okay. I'm assuming something happens when you go back home. Okay.
It doesn't finish the game, but it's good.
Okay.
Go home.
So when you do that, can you still explore after?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll do that first things first. Okay.
But I won't tell you
because I thought when you went back home the game would just like end. So I was kind of saving that for the end.
Yeah, I thought that too. So I saved and then I went back home just to see. Yeah. And no, it's all good. You can go back home.
Okay, sick. I'll do that.
Yeah, you're gonna want to.
All right.
And then so let's talk about this ending without talking about going home. So we have them finally getting to Jotunheim. They go to the top of the peaks.
The peak, the highest peak in all the realms.
They go through this place and they see
the
walls.
The biggest mind-blowing reveal in the whole game. They see this wall and it's like ancient etchings, but it details their adventure that they've had up until this point.
Their entire adventure.
And then
it shows that Atreus' mother was actually the
giant.
last living giant.
Yeah. And I should have pieced this together, but I didn't. Well, no, when you hear that he's part god, part giant, I should have pieced this together, but I didn't until the reveal happened, and I literally out loud I gasped. And because it's like my name is Atreus, but these writings they called me something else. They called me Loki, and I was like,
yeah, I did that too. Oh, it was so good.
I should have pieced it together immediately when it was revealed that Atreus is half giant, half god. But it's like,
okay, and then. So I would have never experienced this part unless I had replayed the game entirely. Yeah. My brother just got a PS4, as I told Colin before we started recording, and so for his birthday / Christmas, I got him God of War and a couple other games.
Sick.
And so he started God of War from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And,
Did he call Atreus being Loki?
No.
Oh.
From the very beginning, Baldur is there for the last giant, Loki.
Yeah.
He was never there for the ghost of Sparta.
Yeah, well, no. Well, I think it said Baldur was there for Kratos' wife, but he didn't know that his wife was Ash at that point.
Well, yeah, but he finds out that she's dead.
Yeah.
But he knows that there is one last giant there because he can sense it. They say that in the game.
Yeah.
But he is there looking for the giant, and they don't say that at all. Mm-hmm. What the beginning makes it sound like is that Baldur is there to find the god killer, Kratos.
Well, it's like that's the assumption. It's like Kratos has no clue why Baldur's there, but you're like, I bet it's because he killed all the Greek gods. Well,
yeah, because it's got to be. And they never specify.
And Odin doesn't like the fact that the ghost of Sparta is now in their realm,
Yeah, but that's not it at all.
But that's not it.
Kratos is not the story here. Atreus is.
Atreus is the protagonist. I mean, not the protagonist, but he is the catalyst of the story. Yeah, and you don't know it the whole game.
Oh,
you assume that Kratos is, but it's like Kratos is ultimately insignificant. He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Atreus is the one that has value.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm so glad And it makes me really excited to play this game again, knowing what I know.
Yeah, it's going to make a lot of things a lot more meaningful, I think. Because the whole game has so much mystery to it.
Yeah.
And it's like this gradually unfolding mystery.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you have listened to this up to this point and you haven't played it, I really, really suggest you do. I know PS4s aren't the cheapest thing in the world, but they're cheaper than buying a whole PC.
This game is just a masterpiece.
Solid 10 out of 10 in my book. Second favorite game of all time.
Honestly think so as well. I don't know where it ranks in my favorite games of all time. I'd have to play it a lot more. But it's so good.
Number one favorite story in a video game of all time.
And I really want to see more of this.
Yes.
I feel like if a God of War 2 gets announced, I'm getting it like full price.
Which I'm super hyped for because they've talked. They haven't talked about it, but in game they have shown Egyptian symbols. So I'm hoping that they end up going with 3 games in the Norse series, 3 games in an Egyptian series, and they just keep growing. And not with Kratos. I want the main character to change eventually.
Oh, I was going to mention something because I thought I saw this. It was very late at night when I did the whole like giant reveal, like the final segment where you spread the ashes. I saw something. I don't know. Kratos looks at one final drawing, and maybe I was misinterpreting it, but it looked like Kratos like dead in Atreus' arms. Was that what it was?
I haven't looked specifically into it. There's a couple different takes on it. There is Kratos dead in Atreus' arms, or Kratos being killed by Atreus.
And then there is that line where Atreus is like, "Would you let me kill you?" And I think it might be foreshadowing.
It might. And
because he pulls back the curtain, you get like a glimpse of it, and he puts the curtain back. And
it's the wind blows it just a little.
Oh so right. Good. And then he sees it, and it's like, because it looked like
not done yet.
Yeah, it looked like Kratos in Atreus' lap, like presumably dead, and I was like, ooh,
yeah,
that's
So if we end up getting this trilogy, I want it to be a trilogy.
That'd be neat.
And this wraps up. Kratos dies, and then in the next one we get Atreus or Loki, as the next god of war. Like,
yeah.
This could be so cool, guys. I want a good, great, just well-written series.
And this game feels like such like a tip of the iceberg because there's so many gods out there that you don't even encounter in the game. You don't encounter Thor. You don't encounter Odin.
Yep.
There's so many gods you don't encounter.
It's great.
And then the realm travel room, there's like a ton of realms you can't even go to.
Yeah.
And it's like, so there's plenty of room to expand on this universe.
Yeah, it's very exciting. You never met the wolves that end the world, so that could be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many cool things. So many. Have you fought the Valkyries yet?
Not yet. That's my first. I'm gonna go see if I can find and fight a Valkyrie.
Those are fun fights. They're hard.
Yeah.
They get real hard.
I would imagine. End game boss fights tend to be pretty hard.
Yeah. I think I've got like 2 or 3 out of the 7.
I'm at the point where I can, if I utilize my runic attacks, I can be pretty overpowered. So
you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure the Valkyrie fights take that into account.
Oh yeah. There's the one in Mephusalem, the fiery plane. Have you done any of the trials for that?
No.
Big sword. You go up to a big sword in the ground and you do a trial.
No.
Okay, so you gotta do the trials, and those aren't too bad. And then one of the later trials is just a Valkyrie, and she is a pain in the butt.
Oh, you're Muspelheim. That's what Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I haven't done that yet, but I'm trying to find the last cipher to travel there.
Oh yeah.
I've gone to the other one with the cursed mist, the cursed fog.
Oh god, that place is awful.
I hate it. I just left.
Yeah.
I tried it a couple times. I was like, I don't want to deal with this right now. I just left.
Awful. Basically, to do that area, you have to go in, get a couple of things, leave, make the armor, go back in.
Yeah.
Because what the armor does is it gives you constant health regen, and after that timer at the top runs out, your health just slowly drains, and I think the health regen counteracts that. I don't know how well it counteracts it, but because I haven't done it entirely yet, but that place is kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm working on that too.
And it's randomly generated, right?
Yeah, completely
Oddly
randomly
enough,
generated.
I didn't realize there was an element of that in this game.
Not completely randomly generated, actually, because there's a middle area. So you can buy a stone, put it in the middle, go up, and that area will stay the same. And then the traps around, imagine this place is like a ring. So you go in, and then there's like a ring, right?
Yeah.
So if you go around to one side, at the very back of the ring, there is another Valkyrie that you have to fight well in the mist.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna. What I think is, if I complete literally everything else in the game and that's the only thing left, then I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
But like for the moment, I'm just avoiding it.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want anything to do with that.
I know one of the chests in that main room that you have to buy to open with mist echoes or whatever has the last thing that you need for upgrading your Leviathan axe to fully.
Yeah, the last
the frozen flame.
I know you to get the last chaos flame to fully upgrade the Blades of Chaos, you have to beat the Valkyrie. Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I have to get my axe fully upgraded before I go over there and try that.
Okay.
Because it's a pain in the butt. Some of these Valkyries, man.
Well, I mean
tough.
the axe, you get all the upgrades for the axe, like all the things for the axe, but like your
very final one you don't get.
Your final, like all the tiers of upgrades, you get all those get unlocked, but the Chaos Blade, the last tier that's unlocked that you need to beat that Fire Valkyrie to unlock.
But when you upgrade. No, I think that's the...
So the Leviathan Axe is...
Chaos.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not entirely sure what it does entirely. It might just boost the power of it, but I haven't done it, so...
I think it just raises the strength more incrementally.
Oh, I'm so happy with how God of War turned out. I'm having such a good time with it.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's one of those games where it's like, you know, I thought I was going to be done after the story. But here I am, still playing it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, there's actually a whole lot to do after the story.
Yeah.
I looked at my map, and Midgard was 23% completed after the story.
Dang.
So I was like, there's still a whole 80% more stuff to do.
One of the things I know I'm not ever going to 100% this game. Because I'm not...
that's a pretty monumental task.
Yeah,
it's
I'm not
big
hunting
game.
all those stupid crows.
Yeah.
The Eyes of Odin.
Yeah.
Oh, those are things that are awful. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to find... I'm probably never going to find every single chest that I missed.
Yeah.
I got most of them, but
I'm actually right at a point where I have 2 of 3 of the health upgrades, and I have 2 of 3 of the rage upgrades. So the next chest I find, I'll get either a health upgrade or a rage upgrade. So
I maxed those things out. I was so happy that I found all of those. I was like, when it was starting to become closer to the end of the game, I'm like, we got to be finding these soon, guys. And so then I finally got them, and I was like, yes. Finally, we're maxed.
Yeah. The Baldur fight right at the end isn't that hard, but it is a very cool fight.
Yeah, it's very.
The
cool.
last half of that fight, where he's constantly switching between ice and fire damage, and you have to constantly change your weapons in accordance.
That was really neat.
Yeah. It's pretty basic as far as boss design goes, but it's just it's just utilized well. So. That's cool.
Well, and just like everything that was happening in the story was enough to make up for any lack of
it's just fight. It's the rare does this weird thing that games don't know how to do, where like the boss fights aren't just arbitrary challenges and they have like emotional significance. Because the whole time, like Freya's screaming at you, like "Don't kill my son!"
Yeah,
and it's like it's a fantastic boss fight.
Well, and like Atreus is there to back you up, and
and the final like takedown you do of Baldur in the fight, it's this like you hit him and Atreus comes by and shoots him, and then you hit him and Atreus hits him, and it's like you're teaming up and you're. One thing I want to say about Atreus. Atreus also it shows growth in the gameplay. Mm-hmm. In the beginning of the game, he's pretty worthless. He's pretty useless. He's good only as like a distraction.
Yeah, he's got some arrows.
Yeah. But by the end of the game, he's just as powerful as you are, if not more so.
Yep.
Like, he's a force to be reckoned with.
As soon as I could max out Atreus' skill trees, I did.
Yes.
Because he is by far the most useful character. Because you can use him to completely stun an enemy.
Yeah.
You can use him to rapidly take damage off of a lot of little enemies. So great crowd control.
Yeah,
especially with just the Leviathan axe.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so good.
The shock arrows fully upgraded are just the best thing ever.
Yep.
And they helped me through so many fights.
They're great. You are going to desperately need those for one Valkyrie fight.
Okay.
I'm going to spoil it because it was awful. It was the one I've actually beaten, though, so that if that tells you anything, it's easier than some of them. Mm. But there's one Valkyrie where the Valkyrie herself isn't too hard, but she constantly is summoning creatures.
Oh, yeah.
Just constantly. So
that's what the shock arrows are great for.
Yes.
In the boss fights where there's like other like minions going on, you don't even have to worry about them. Just shock arrow constantly, and they will stay off your back.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, this game would have been hard.
Yeah.
So hard.
It does the Dark Souls combat, but like it's not as difficult. It's somewhat forgiving. It gets difficult. It gets hard, but it's not. And
you have so many more ways to deal with crowds.
Yes, you're a lot more powerful in this game than you are in like Dark Souls. In Dark Souls, you just have to be skillful. Mm-hmm. In God of War, you do have power.
And they balance that with being able to be killed fairly easily, actually, which I thought went really well.
You can't take that many hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're just like it's a really well balanced glass cannon build.
Sure.
It's nice.
Yeah. Would you say the Valkyrie fights go like full Dark Souls territory in terms of difficulty?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
They're on that edge. A couple of them were easier than Dark Souls mostly, but the rest so far are ones that, I've died a bunch of times and I need to come back sometime when I've worked a little harder at getting better equipment and better weapons and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right now I'm working on finding some decent armor, finding and upgrading my 2 weapons.
Yeah.
And then we'll try it again. And if that doesn't work, who knows?
Well, we should probably wrap this up. Hopefully, if you've played God of War and you're listening to this, hopefully you enjoyed. I'll be uploading this with the A24 Quest, and then we'll be back to A24 Quest and podcasts
as normal
soon. Yeah,
hopefully.
So, hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, I know I did.
Same.
I love God of War so much.
Me too.
It's so good.
It is amazing.
Don't! I saw that.
Did you?
I did. You pushed the wrong button, too.
What?
Didn't you?
No.
Did you I thought you pushed that one.
No, I didn't.
Oh. It just didn't want to work.
We'll see you on the next one.
Alright. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.